Welcome to Cast Conversations, where we will be having a conversation with the remarkable cast members of the Laramie Project. We have just a handful of them here. It's a total of 14 cast members, and I think today we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that includes my co-director, Sarah Millard, as well. So we're so happy to see you and to have this conversation about the Laramie Project, our process, the dramaturgy work we had to do, the character development, all the behind the scenes work that goes into putting on a production. I think sometimes people forget how hard and how much work it takes to put on a production, even if it's a community theater production. Everyone that's involved is hardcore into the art form of theater, and we are so grateful to have such a wonderful and beautiful and enthusiastic cast to bring such a hard and heartbreaking story to the Shenandoah Valley. But before we get started, I want to show you just how beautiful this cast is. And we're going to see their Meet the Cast video that premiered last week for their opening weekend. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Hi. So we have Lily on the screen, our co-director, Sarah Millard, wave, hey. Eric Ibarra, Will Speakman, Oliver Varela, and Joanne Thompson, and Eric Lee Santaful. I'm so glad you guys are here. I know a lot of questions have been floating amongst all of us about the Laramie Project. One of the top questions in my world has been, why are you doing the story now and how is it still relevant? So why are you a part of this story? And do you think that is still relevant today, 25 years later? Don't all speak at one time.
Oh, do you want to go ahead?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I feel like the story definitely does have some meaning to it, with all the hatred and all the, I mean, stuff like this still happens today, so it's important that it's brought attention to still to this day and age. And, it being the anniversary, it was, rather an important day or time for us to bring more awareness to stuff like this that has happened in history that we need to accept and learn from, take it as a lesson. And me being a part of this definitely has helped me as a person. Just knowing that I brought awareness to this has been enlightening and just nice.
I think one of the things that we should probably start with is the backstory of um, the Laramie Project, which is about Matthew Shepard from 1998. I was in 8th grade when this all went down. Matthew Shepard was a gay 21-year-old man who went to the college out there and was brutally beaten and left for 18 hours on a buck fence. And he did eventually succumb to his injuries. And Laramie was put together by the Tectonic Theater Project that went out there from New York to Laramie, Wyoming, 6 different times over the course of a year and interviewed over 200 people. And with that, Laramie Project was birthed with the real words and language and dialect of these amazing human beings, some amazing, some not so kind, not so friendly. So when I say is this still relevant, a lot of folks say that it's not, that we're in a better place than we were back in 1998. Do you agree or disagree?
I
would
feel
agree
like
with that.
I feel like we are in a better place, but I feel like it's still relevant just for us to learn about the roots of it all and learning that, I mean, we've moved past this. Not completely, obviously. There's still obviously work to be done, but the fact that the story is being able to be told and not seen as like a huge taboo or anything is a step forward, I'd say.
I think for me, especially getting to come to the show for a second time and sit in more of an observer's position and watch everyone bring these characters to come to life, it became like let's see, the summer for me, when we did Laramie Project, that was 2017, Tasha.
Yeah.
So 2 years before that, it was the summer that gay marriage was legalized, and I was not 18 yet, so I was still very much in that like idyllic, very happy, sort of like there was like an invincibleness that when we told the story the first time, it felt very contained. I think for me, getting to explore the characters was so exciting, but it still felt a little distant. It still felt like back then, right? And coming to it now, especially 2016 was obviously a big turning point for our political landscape. And so coming to it now where we have so much to reflect on, not only since the initial happening, but in our community, I think also just with the killing of O'Shea Sibley in July, I think that really caught the nation off guard and kind of took stories like this out of the past. And I think for me, talking about these things, doing the dramaturgy, bringing this to an audience, is important, not only to have the conversations like Eric was talking about, but simply to hold space for these lives in a way that isn't an infographic or easily, passed around. It's like very tangible in the room. You can feel it when people are kind of having a mutual experience like that otherwise we would be sort of removed from. Yeah, that was speaking in rough draft, a little choppy, but I think that's why this story is so important to me.
Right. Yeah, I think you're very correct that a lot of we've come a really long way since 1998 and definitely since 2015 even, to the point where I think we got comfortable with some of the hate crimes that were happening across our nation. And I think with the split in conversation when it circles around the LGBTQIA plus community, those conversations that come up in the Laramie Project are some things that I have seen or read on social media coming out of the mouths of people. So I feel like it's definitely still is a holding place for conversation, which is great to have. And even with people that disagree with us doing this production, it's been a big eye opener for, wow, there are, I think it's who's the character that says it, um the magnitude of which some people hate. I think that's you, Rulon Stacy, right, Lily? That says that he basically didn't know that that was the extent. And I really think I was blind as well going into this.
Yeah.
So, as Sarah had mentioned, we did this production in 2017, and we did that production with an all-teen cast, except for Dad. We'll speak when we call Dad, and we did that on intentionally and on purpose. We wanted the teens in our community to be able to feel like they had a voice, and there was a lot of divisiveness around the issue of LGBTQIA at that point in time. And so that gave them a voice. But to have Dad as this adult, a part of that ensemble, was kind of a safe haven for a lot of the teen actors that were a part of that ensemble. This ensemble is a mixture of teens, young adults, and mature adults. And still, Dad has the staple two roles of Reverend Fred Phelps and Dennis Shepard, who are polar opposites of the spectrum. And so, Dad, I kind of want to ask you and tap you in, like, what has been the difference between the cast in 2017 and performing with all teenagers to working with this cast now? That's a big.
2017 was an interesting cast because initially, because they were all teens and the majority of them hadn't been born when this happened to Matthew Shepard, and the couple that were less than a year old, so they definitely wouldn't have known what was going on. And it took a long time and a conversation with someone from the Matthew Shepard Foundation, I think, to really grasp, okay, their characters and why they were telling this story. And once they did, you forgot they were teenagers. Once you see them acting, I always go back to, you'll have to remind me his name again, the young man that played the deputy sheriff.
Michael Bombardier.
Yeah, right. I mean, he hears this, he kind of reminds me of Oliver when it comes to age-wise there. But once he started talking, he sounded like a middle-aged sheriff. And so you forgot who they were. So, I mean, and it was that cast that also taught me, because I was very young in my acting career at the time, and watching them come to light and bringing these characters to life, it's like, oh, this is what I need to do. And as far as the subject matter goes, because yes, I was well alive during Matthew Shepard. I vaguely remember hearing about it, but it was in Wyoming. It was something that didn't affect me back then, and I was zero part of knowing anything about the plight of the LGBT community. So they kind of brought that to light to me a little bit. So now fast forward to this cast. I enjoy working with the diversity of this cast because I'm still seeing that. That naive outlook from the young ones who maybe didn't understand. And now that we've gotten into the show, I'm starting to see that maturity come in with them as well. But then, of course, with the young adults and us mature ones, we've been there, and we know the gravity of it, and we're able to share that through either whether it's talking to the cast or just through the way we're acting with this. But I'm also able to express myself a lot better with this one because of what I learned in 2017, not only about myself, but also about Matthew Shepard, about what was going on and about the gay community overall, and knowing that it's still going on. There's a lot more acceptability out there, but the hate is so much out in the open nowadays. And now and I feel like today versus then, today I feel like we're confronting that hate. Then we were just trying to pass a message along, is how I felt about it. Now we're actually confronting that hate and saying, no, this is a relevant story. We're going to get out in front of you. We're going to show you what love and compassion is, which is, that's what I've learned from Dennis Shepard. More so this time than I did the first time I was acting. This time I'm embodying Dennis Shepard, and I understand, and I have myself have more maturity because of this role of saying, wow, that's what true compassion is. Because quite frankly, I don't know if I could be as compassionate as him. You touch one of my kids, and I'm probably going to be sitting in jail right next to you.
Right.
Because I'm not going to have that same kind of compassion. At least I don't think I would. But I have to try, and this role is teaching me that.
So, Sarah, coming into this, I asked you to be the co-director for this for a number of reasons. I think one, you have a different eye than I do, which is necessary when it comes to a multi-layered piece like this, I think.
Sure.
Whereas the first time it was kind of me writing it solo, but we discovered a lot the first time that we did it. It was kind of like this experimental,
Like being in a lab. Yes, it was very scientific.
Yeah, it was very
Chemistry.
experimental, and it was great. It was cool. This time, working with a different demographic of actors, some actors that were well informed of the situation, some that were not. I needed that that second pair of eyes. One, because of the character development that is so necessary. So there are over 52 characters in the show, and we have 14 actors. So everyone has at least 2 or more characters that they are portraying. And tell me a little bit about your experience working with some of the actors when it comes to developing even small minute things about each individual character, because there's no set, there are no
Right.
costumes, everyone's in all black and has different props to gesture who they are.
Right.
So one of the highest compliments we've received this past weekend is that they were able to identify who each character was, which is kind of
Wow.
a huge congratulations to the cast on that. So tell me about your experience.
Absolutely. I think Dad's words kind of resonated with me a little bit when he's talking about the generosity of spirit that each of these ensemble members came with. It was like, no matter, it was a lot of the negative self-talk that we just move throughout our lives with, right? You get in the car and you're like, oh, I knew I should have left 15 minutes earlier. I'm gonna be late. Rah. All of that stuff, there's not room for it really when it comes to doing this type of work, because you have to have sort of a safe distance from yourself. You have to be able to let go of yourself in order to be able to fully realize, forget, one character for a usual play, forget 9, 10, there's lots of ground to cover. And one thing that was particularly exciting, that I appreciated being in a co-director position for, and being able to really just listen super closely, is that I feel like we had that same element of discovery where, for example, like I'm thinking about how Oliver happens to be the one to pick up Matthew Shepard's lines when Doc O'Connor is retelling the story. It's Oliver's voice who pipes in. And then later in the show, we see Oliver as John Peacock, Matthew's academic advisor, explaining who he thought Matthew might grow up to be. And he kind of posits he might have even been in my, like off to be in social justice and political science. And I could see that in this person. And as you're watching him do that, you're recalling that it was Matthew's voice. And obviously, Oliver's the same age he was when we started the show. It's only been an hour, but like there's this incredible depth of humanity that came out of this show by looking at, like you said, these tiny little moments. I think too about Lily having to cover Kathy Connolly as well as Ruan Stacy, who both, especially in the instances that they're put in these stories, the point of attack, have this anxiety that runs under them. They both are kind of fueled, I think, by this unrest. And so watching Lily parse apart what that looks like for a woman who is a lesbian, who is in, you know, out in the open, working and speaking every single day, as to someone who's been so removed from it. It was really a lot of tactical and mechanical work, more so than sentimental, you know, I can't even think of an example, but I really appreciated everybody kind of hammering these characters from the inside out, it felt like, so that once it came time to be running the show, they could just come in and out. And that's really all a director can ask for, is to be able to watch that journey in real time. It's
I've seen so many productions of the Laramie Project over the years, and a lot of them can be, what's the word, heavily emotional.
I like to say trauma indulgent.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's
yeah.
Because people are already hesitant when they come to see this show anyway, and the way that we have it staged, there's no music, there's no introduction, there's no director's speech, there's no fluff at all. And someone said to me, it's a little intimidating when you first walk into the room, but it's kind of like how you cleanse your palate before you try something else to eat. Is the idea behind that. But we don't weigh heavy on the trauma or the emotional aspect. It is very, like you said, mechanical. We move on. We have a moment and we move on, which I think is part of what the genius is between Moises and the Tectonic Theater Project, is they don't have what's called the scenes, they have moments. And I think that is such a beautiful thing, and it's something that I've adopted in my work as well, that this is just a moment in time and we don't have to stay there. So let's keep moving throughout the story. And I really want to dig into Lily and Oliver a little bit. You guys are a couple of the teens. Oliver, I actually think you're the youngest in the cast. And you both play some pretty well-versed characters beyond your years. So, Oliver, I'll hit you first. You range from playing Aaron Kreifels, a 19-year-old young man who found Matthew Shepard, to playing an older man, an older gentleman. You play characters that are sympathetic and some characters that are, one character in particular that's just rude and crude with some of his comments about the whole ordeal. How have you survived this process? Because I know it's been hard.
What do you mean survive? It's definitely been really hard. Especially with the playing multiple characters, just switching. And I'm trying to think of the word.
What's helped you get through the process?
What's helped me, just to like tell the story, you know, to know that like I will eventually tell it, you know.
That you're a part of the journey.
Yeah, that's helped me a lot.
That's amazing. I think Aaron Kreifels is the one character that gets me every time, next to Dennis Shepard. Aaron Kreifel says a lot that I think God wanted me to find Matthew Shepard. And I don't know if that was how he eased the trauma of finding Matthew, is by saying this was meant to be, this was meant to be, this was meant to be. But you do some pretty great work there, Oliver. Lily, how about you? How have you survived this process? As Oliver says, survive?
Survived. I've been trying to do a lot of research, and just sometimes when rehearsal was still happening, I would just go home every night and think, why is my character feeling this way? And like in this moment, why are they upset? Why are they angry? Would they be angry about this? It's helped me connect with my characters a lot. And I've also watched the Laramie Project movie a couple of times. That's helped me like develop my character more. And yeah.
Cool. We did quite a bit of dramaturgy work. We had a lot of discussion about who, what, when, where, and why. We've even gone as far as looking up some of the actual people, so we can try and find some connection with that. Joanne and Eric, can you guys hear me? Oh, hold on, you're muted. You are muted.
No.
No, I just unmuted.
Well,
I just muted.
So
it's a delay or something.
Can you hear? Are you still delayed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Great.
But you're okay. We can hear you though.
Nice.
So what has the dramaturgy work been for you as far as your characters are concerned? And I know like Lainey has helped us quite a bit, but like what personal work have you done for any of your characters?
I'll go first.
All right.
For me, I honestly, first and foremost, I want to apologize to whoever's watching this because we've been going in and out. I've done so many of these cast conversations and I've never had as much problem as I'm having today. So I apologize to everyone for that. Having said that, I honestly, for me personally, I have about, I want to say 5 characters and a cool little bonus character. A couple of them came pretty easy to me. I play a mother. I am a mother. So tapping into her emotions where her child is concerned was not hard. What was hard for me was the hardest thing for me with this script has been how they speak. And trying to get that, and trying to distinguish every character I do, trying not to make it sound like Joanne, first of all, and trying to not make them sound like each other. So I've looked at like a couple of maybe YouTube videos or whatever. The easiest one for me was a theater teacher. I've taught, I've been a mother. So those were the 2 easiest for me. The hardest for me, I play a
I think we lost her.
I think so.
We lost you, Joe. And Eric. Wait.
We lost you.
Hold still.
We're not there.
I'm back.
They're coming in and out. In and out.
And no. All right, we have a question here. Let's see what it says. When
That's a great question.
With the audience, it definitely set the tone for the performance. How did you all stay so focused? Who wants to take it? Go, Lily.
Okay. So I feel how we all stayed super focused is that our ensemble, I would say we are very, very connected. And like before every performance, we just get in a circle, hold hands, and just breathe and try and focus all our energy onto like our motivation, like why are we telling this story? So I think that's what gets like the focus during the show. And just putting all our energy onto our ensemble and our castmates just helps a lot with that.
The follow-up question is, how did you prepare mentally and emotionally for such a heavy performance?
I had to just, as I said, like just breathe and just think, I'm doing this for Matthew and I want others to know about Matthew and his story, and that it'll be okay, and that this story should be spread and it should be known.
So for those who haven't come to the theater yet, our ensemble is already seated when you enter into the room. And when that happens, we're used to folks coming into the theater are used to some kind of welcoming music, some kind of director's speech to bring it all together, to kind of hype it up a little bit. And so we don't have that. We give all of the instructions for the production at the very beginning when you walk in. Amber has a list of rules that she goes over with everyone that walks through the door. And it's amazing how many people walk into the room and just stop talking.
And also physically stop. I've seen on the threshold.
Yeah. And it's amazing to witness that, to hear it, and to see it. And no one has really jumped out of the seat to like rush out to the bathroom or do something fidgety yet. But the actors are there for half an hour before the show starts in neutral position and focused. And I know some audience members that know certain actors have tried coming in and be like, hi. And the actors are like bold-faced focus. Is really, really cool to witness. And like I said, the purpose of that is so that your palate is kind of clean when you walk into the space, and you're willing and open. And that sense of vulnerability opens you to be a little bit more receptive to the story that you're about to witness. I love that I get to see the flip side from like 2 seconds before we go into neutral mode and open the house, how everyone's like, la, 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 la. And then you get ready for a house opening and everyone is super, super stark and focused. Does that help you at all to jump into the show? Or do you think it would be a little bit different if we had like entrances and exits and a director's speech before the show started? How different do you think the show would be?
If we had a director's speech and all the regular pre-show stuff?
Yeah.
As opposed to just sitting there.
It's almost like Danielle's intro is like her first speech is almost like a director's speech because it tells the audience like what's about to happen anyway. So
right. Yeah.
I don't know.
From an actor's perspective, or from my perspective, I'm not going to speak for all of my castmates. From my perspective, it's kind of it's the first time I've done anything like that. Thank you. Thank you, Latasha. The first time I've been like totally set and doing nothing as people are coming in. It's really interesting, like you said, and I'm going to say, forgive me if we repeat anything that has already been said. As you can tell, we've been glitching in and out. It's weird to see the people come in And I think Sarah was saying it, and it's like they come in and they see these people sitting there and they're like, what do we do? It's like, and we're not supposed to say anything, but I literally wanted to stand up and say, y'all can talk. We can't. But y'all can talk. And even when they do talk, it's like
It's whispered.
Yeah, it's like, no, y'all can talk like y'all normally would before a show. Like, you're fine as long as y'all are quiet when Danielle gets up and starts her thing. I like it and I don't like it. To answer your question, that's why I'm not going to speak for my fellow castmates. For me, I like it in the sense that it's a lovely opportunity to sit and be still, and start to be into your characters. And I literally, for that half an hour or so before that we're sitting there before we start, I literally go through the play in my head. I go through the play, I breathe, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be good. And then, but I don't like it because it's weird. It's unfamiliar. It's unfamiliar. It takes me out of my comfort zone. I feel like if there's an audience, I'm supposed to be doing something. So it takes me out of my comfort zone. But that's good. That's a good thing. I'm growing. See, I can still grow.
Sarah, when you guys did it the first time, how was it for you?
I think I was able to lean a little bit into the parts that Jose was touching on about being able, as an actor, just grateful for the opportunity to really work on being present, especially because as a person in my regular daily life, I'm very all over the place, go, 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 go. And so in the theater, a space that obviously matters to all of us so much, but specifically when telling a type of story like this, I just think it's a really unique opportunity, and there's a certain like release of expectation. Like, come into the room, come as you are. If you talk, that's okay. If you want to sit in silence, that's fine. And I love Josh's comment here. I've seen, he says it creates a reverent atmosphere. And I just like really, really appreciate that observation, because it does kind of have that sense for being, just four walls, and you can hear the AC humming sometimes, right? We're still, I think, able to achieve reverence is a great word, but just it runs throughout the whole play, even as it sits on the pages.
All of your senses.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to sit still and not use text to say what is happening, what's going on. It awakens your senses, and I think we as a people, we have lost some of our connection because of social media, because of COVID, because of we've lost the connection to emotions. So they're either like hypersensitive or like non-existent. They're like polar opposites, extremes. And I think for this, it allows the audience a moment to breathe, take a moment, and to be with us in that moment. Joshua says, as a member of the audience, I appreciated it. I'll show it. I appreciated it as it took me out of my comfort zone as well, which made me more vulnerable for an already emotional topic. And that's it. You hit it right on the nail. It opens your own emotions to be able to not accept the story that is being told, but to be able to actually hear it. And some audiences that have seen the show before were like, I actually heard the show this time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Like I saw it when you guys did it before, and it was of course powerful then. But it's a whole other animal to actually be participating in it. And I'm going to be very honest with you, because as an actor, and I find this to be true in most everything I've done. as an actor, there is a period of time where you're so focused on getting your lines and getting your characterization and getting everything right that you don't always take a moment to absorb all the other things and characters and things that are happening around you within the story.
Right.
And so what I have found through this process, as I usually find during most of the plays that I've been in, once you settle into it, it's like you're always finding something different. Like every show, I discover something different. And even in my outside conversations, the few days that we've been removed from this show since we closed our first weekend, I've been like, yep. And then this makes sense for my character because this character said that and reinforced that. And like you hear it all during rehearsals and tech weekend, but you're so focused on trying to get it right and trying to get it right and trying to get it right. And in a way, you're kind of self-absorbed because you are responsible for that character, or in our case, characters. And you're so focused on trying to get those right that you kind of become selfish and you don't always absorb everything from the other characters. And there's so much in this ensemble piece to be retrieved from the other characters in this play, even if your character doesn't necessarily interact with that character. There's so many things. Like one of the things that one of my characters says very early on, I think one of my characters is like the third person to speak. It's Danielle and then Eric Lee and then myself. And one of the things that she says, one of my characters says, live and let Laramie's live and let live. There are so many times that is referenced in this play. One of my characters is the first to say it, but then other characters, one of your characters says it. Like there are other characters. Yeah, there are so many things that are themes and that are repeated as to how these people thought and how they lived and what they believed in. And there are several characters that say the various things throughout the play. And the more you relax and get into this, it's just like, yo, there it is again. And then this means this because of this, and this ties into this. And yeah, it is a true ensemble piece in every sense,
every aspect. Yep.
Every sense.
And I think part of the beauty of some of this and some of what you were just touching on there, Joe, is because we're all out there all the time, it forces you to listen to the play and listen to your ensemble. Because every other show where you're coming on and off, and I see so many of us, I do it myself, we go backstage and we grab our script and say, okay, let me make sure that I've got the right lines for my next year. What is the next act? Where am I coming out? What's going on next? You're doing this one, you can't do that. You're out there and you have to watch. And because so many people are playing so many different characters and you're having to say, okay, I need to listen to everybody. And it's boom, 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 because you've got to catch that cue line to get out there. So you have to pay attention to the show, and it helps to I can't say if it's for everybody. I know for me, when I do come in, it helps me get my character.
Yeah.
Because I'm listening to the story, and now I know, okay, when I come up, I know where this person fits in, and I know what needs to be done. And the other thing I liked about, normally, I always say that when I come out for shows, unless my character has to specifically interact with the audience, I never see the audience. Well, this one, I'm out there with them all the time, so I do see them, which is great in a fun aspect, because I get to watch the audience and say, who am I going to pick on today?
Can I touch on what Joanne said?
Go ahead, Lily.
So with what Joanne said, it reminded me of like just a week before the performance. I had only realized like during the fence scene when Eric Lee, he says, Phil Labrie, a friend of Matthew's, took us to the fence. But that was the first time I realized, wait, that
That's
is my
me.
character, and I just went to the fence. Yeah, 'cause yeah, we had been
Yeah.
stressing about like lines, like just doing it well. I had been stressing about like memorizing, but then like when I had finally gotten off book, I realized, hey, yeah, that's me. I did that.
Yeah.
That's a great example, Lily. Yeah.
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 His
And
friend was
even when you are off book, it's there's still this component, and like I said, I have found this to be true in every show pretty much that I've been in. There's still this component of, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I'm off book. Yeah, I get it. I'm doing it. But there's always, with every show, for me, with every show, there's some little grain of,
discovery.
wow.
Yeah, it's discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're constantly discovering and exploring, and I think that's the beauty of this show. One of the gentlemen said, someone said the fit scene is haunting.
It is.
Yes, it is.
A little bit.
I think I think the beauty of this show, with the discovery and the exploration of it all, is that it makes you as an actor a better storyteller, and it makes you
Definitely.
better aware of your ensemble, and the connection that is actually necessary for the audience goes beyond the text itself. It is the physicality, it is the vocal work, it is it is
Breath work, even.
yeah, it encompasses all of the senses. So going into the fence, which is haunting, it's not something that I have seen anyone else do. Um, but it was important for me to make sure that the audience understood that we were taking them in almost like a astrophysical way, taking them to the actual fence, and not just
Mhm.
building it or having it be symbolic.
Or using projections, right?
Yeah, we don't use any video or projections, even though the script does suggest it. I I think I'm so adamant about human connection and human emotion again. I think that live theater is going to be the tool for that again, um, to get us away from not knocking film actors or anything like that, but getting away from the screen and actually being able to connect one on one with a story or with an actual feeling or emotion. And I think the fence is so important. And I know I was kind of a beast when it came to the fence, but it's so important. I love what you guys don't get to see. The audience also does not take their eyes off of that fence once you've built it. It is super, super cool. Have you seen that, Dad?
Mhm.
Because you're in the audience while they're building the fence.
Yeah, I see it. Normally, the first reaction I see is, "What the hell? Why do I hear the wind? And why are these people throwing chairs over their head?" But
The world's
then they
gonna
get
shut
it.
down.
Exactly, and then I see them get really serious, and they stop staring at what the actors are doing. They're hearing the noise, and they're just watching the fence.
Yeah.
And it is, and I've seen that fence being built dozens of times between now and even back in 2017, and I still myself get goosebumps every single time it happens, because it's just a very powerful moment. um, and then once it's built and the actors come in and start talking, is especially Eric's character, where he's like, I have a connection to this young man, which tells you, I mean, and these are the people listening and building the story. They're just now still doing the interviews, and they've got a connection to Matthew, and it's just, yeah, it gets to you.
Yeah, it's incredible to watch because I'm a people watcher, so I'm gonna watch everybody and everything. But I think one of the most haunting things beyond the Fed scene and how is built is watching the audience, and like, because it's Eric Lee, you talk at one point, and then it's Eric Reifels that talks at another point describing about fighting him. Oliver does that. Then you have Jacob Reed that comes in that reads is the doctor can't wait the emergency.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then you have Reggie Moody, who's the sheriff who is the first one to respond to the call about Matthew Shepard being tied to the fence. And let me tell you, it's amazing to watch the audience not look at any one of you speaking. They are so focused on what you've built. They hear you.
I've noticed that.
They hear you, but they are glued. Once the fence is built, it's built. But once we come back from intermission and you guys take it apart, it's like, okay, we're done with this moment, moving on.
Yeah.
You can see like almost the shock in their bodies, like, well, wait a minute. We wanted to stay here.
Right.
And the beautiful thing about the script is that you're not allowed to stay here. There's so much more of the story to tell, right? And I just think that it was beautifully constructed. And even with those that may disagree with Matthew Shepard's lifestyle, as they say repeatedly in the show, or they disagree with the rights of LGBTQIA people, or they are not so sure where they lie on the fence. Every perspective is represented in the show. The show is not biased at all beyond humanity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, even Real Aunt Stacy has that line where it says, even at the end after Matthew dies, and says, kind of paraphrase here, but it's basically, I am still, you still don't agree with homosexuality.
Right.
Homosexuality is not a lifestyle with which I agree. Yeah.
Exactly. But I didn't realize the magnitude of the hate. So I mean, so Real can still have those opinions, but it still brought some other kind of humanity in. They said, "Oh my God, there's this hate out there. I may not like the lifestyle, but it doesn't mean I'm going to hate on these people like that."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I keep trying to pick a favorite character that I play, and I keep going back and forth. Like, I really adore Rebecca Hilliker, but I feel like I really love Marge. And the reason I love Marge is I feel like Marge speaks to the compassion in Laramie. I feel like there are a couple things that Marge says that really just makes it so, like, this horrible thing happened in this town and brought out horrible things in people. But I feel like Marge is a person who displays the humanity and the compassion of the town of Laramie. And I feel like I love that about her. Sometimes in a very comical way she does it, but I love that she's very frank, she's very to the point, but she's very, like, she's lived there like most of her life. She's Laramie bred through and through, but yet and still, she just, and because she is such a part of Laramie, the fact that some of the things that she says, like, just shows that, yeah, there's compassion here in Laramie. Like, we're not this horrible place that we've been portrayed.
The hellhole of a town.
The hellhole of a, yeah. I love, like, one of the last things she says. I'm not gonna say it because y'all need to come see the play if you want to hear it. But no spoilers. But there's a couple of things that she says at the end, and I'm like, yeah, girl, that's it. It's yeah.
She's the expression of when the media descended on Laramie. It was like described, Sergeant Higgs says it's like Laramie dripping in blood and blah blah blah. And it's like, that's not that kind of, we're not that kind of a town,
right?
And understand, nobody knew where the hell Laramie, Wyoming was before this happened. And to be honest, if something, God forbid, were to happen like around here like that, people would be saying, where the
yeah.
Um,
I've thought that many times throughout this process. I was like, that could be any one of these little towns up and down 81. Yep.
Yep. And that's just it. That's just the story, is that it can happen in any small town. It doesn't, I think we have this perception that things happen in bigger cities, Chicago, New York. The young man that was just killed at Jackson State University, a couple of days ago, he came from Chicago. Like, there's a high crime filled area, and he was killed at Jackson State University. It can happen anywhere. And the more we engage a conversation of whether how do we prevent it or how do we humanize each other, no matter what our background is or who we love or what we believe in, how can we find the humanity in each other? I think is the overall message of that. And I think Marge is a great in between. Like, yeah, there are things, because she doesn't really hit on what things she doesn't want to tell.
Right.
That's the line. There are some things I won't tell you.
Yep.
There are some town things, but it does not fully describe the people of Laramie. And I think that is an important message overall, is that one, it can happen anywhere at any time, and two, where's the humanity of it all? I'm gonna stop us there because we could talk all day and all night long. That's for sure. And I just want to thank you guys for taking an hour out of your time to come and be with me on this Cast Conversations. Laramie Project is our opener for our season 12, and it's been 25 years since the death of Matthew Shepard. And we do this in honor of him, and also in honor of any marginalized people that have been hurt and harmed because of who they are. I love that I have a theater community that is a respecter of person and character and loving and accepting. And I'm so grateful for each and every single one of you. And I can't wait to see you again on Friday. I don't know. I'm like cooking up a storm here because I don't know what to do with my life right now.
That's hilarious.
I have lasagna soup on the stove. Yesterday,
that sounds so good.
I don't even know.
I know, we'll all be over in 15. See you in
right?
It's going to take us a little longer than 15.
I mean,
we're coming from Laramie.
We're coming from Laramie.
It's weird. Like, I don't know what to do with my life right now. So I'm like, let's get back into it. But I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the work that you are doing. I appreciate your faith in the process, even though some things are building you and pulling you off your comfort zone. I am especially grateful to my teenagers that are digging their heels into the work, because that in turn is going to make you a better actor and an artist, and also a better human being. To have that empathy part of you. Thank you, everybody. I love you. I will see you Friday.
Can I say something real quick? Just because, wait, just real quick. This is a good thing. I mean, come on, y'all know me. This is what happens when I get glitched out early on in the show. So I just want to say really quick, because you touched on the teenagers. I want to say a few of them I knew, a lot of them I did not know. I want to say, as one of the, as Will put it, mature cast members, I really appreciate being able to work in this multi-generational cast.
Yes.
We kind of did it a little bit at the end of the season with Akilah and the Bee, a little, but I enjoyed.
This is the ensemble. The ensemble makes it even more.
Like, it's like forces us everyone, like in the Akilah and the Bee, it's like there were the children and there were the adults. Yeah. But like the kids in this play are being asked to take on some incredibly adult roles and to try to understand some incredibly adult themes. And I just appreciate the teens, the 20-somethings, and my fellow mature people. I really enjoy just that, the dynamic and how we all mesh and get along and look out for each other. And I'm just really enjoying that. And even though we still have 2 more weekends, I'm already going to miss it when it's over. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm done.
All right. right, you guys, I'm gonna let you guys go.
Come see Laramie.
Come see Laramie. We
Come
got
see
2 more
Laramie.
weekends. We are sold out for next Saturday. Almost sold out for next Friday. I think we only have 4 seats left for next Friday. Following weekend has a little bit more open. I definitely think we're going to sell out for our last show, which is great. So get your tickets, get them now at SeLahTheaterProject.org, and we hope to see you all at the theater soon. Bye. In my broken sick voice. Bye.
Thank you, Tasha.
Thanks for watching or listening to Cast Conversations, hosted by Selah Theater Project. For more information about Selah Theater Project, our productions, classes, workshops, and special events, check us out at www.selahtheaterproject.org. We hope to see you at the theater soon.